Nintendo of America is making a big change by the end of the year. Essentially, Doug Bowser is retiring. He is done skis. He is off to go skiing and go fishing and hang out with his family and take all that money that he made over his career and enjoy the rest of his life. Probably write a book, probably do some consulting, probably do some other stuff. I'm not really sure what he's up to, but I wish him the best. But what is the future of Nintendo going to be with a new president coming in when it comes down to it? But I'm going to tell you what people are not saying right now. I'm going to tell you the stuff that the clickbait and all the people that are making up stuff, I'm going to get around all that because I've been covering Nintendo over the course of multiple different presidents that they've had when it comes to Nintendo of America, even when it comes to Nintendo overall, when it comes to their CEO in Japan. And I'm going to give you guys the breakdown of what this actually means and what we can expect going forward, because there's some people out here that have no idea what Nintendo of America even does in the first place. So we'll talk about that, and we'll discuss something about how, once again, I was right when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, when it comes to the pricing, when it comes to the market, and when it comes to what's happening in this industry. So let's start off with the press release from Nintendo talking about Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser retiring and Devin Pritchard stepping in to be the brand new president that's going on here. So Nintendo of America announced today that Doug Bowser will retire as president and chief operating officer on December 31st, 2025, after more than a decade in multiple leadership positions. He will be succeeded by Devin Pritchard, a 19-year veteran of the video game industry and long-standing member of NOA leadership team. In addition, Satoru Shibata will join NOA as the chief executive officer, which people aren't talking about as much. I think a lot of people just saw Devin Pritchard and then they saw, oh, Doug Bowser's retiring, and they just started talking. But Mr. Shibata is a key figure in Nintendo for like the last 40 years or something like that. So his influence and what he's probably going to do, maybe a little bit different or not, could affect some things. But once again, we're going to talk about that at the end here. So Mr. Shibata will join NOA as the CEO while continuing his role as managing executive officer and corporate director, member of the boards at Nintendo Co. Ltd. Pritchard will also join the NOA board of directors and become an NCL executive officer. Doug Bowser and Devin Pritchard also put out some pretty cool statements as well. So if you want to read those, I'll have a link to it in the description below. Bowser talked about how his time at Nintendo was great and all the great memories. And of course, Mrs. Pritchard talked about how she's going to step up to the plate here with Nintendo, acting in this new position. Well, and yeah, they're all awesome. I'll have a link for you guys if you guys want to check out the links below. I've actually been around here one time, I think at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 at Nintendo of America's store. Yeah, like the Nintendo store in San Francisco. She actually made a little speech. I think I actually still have that on my phone too. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So I don't think I actually met her, but I was around when she made the speech to everybody there that was letting us buy the Nintendo Switch 2 first, like the launch and all that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, she seems pretty competent from everything that I've seen so far. And, you know, I've looked back and yeah, she's been an exec. She's been one of the higher ups at Nintendo for a while. And she's been in this business for a long time. But once again, Mr. Shibata being the CEO as well in terms of what he brings to the table, it looks like they're going to have a little bit of a dual thing going on here. But here's the real thing, guys. Here's the real meat and potatoes. Here's what this actually means. Not much is going to change. I know some people like to sit there and say there's going to be drastic changes. All of a sudden, every game's going to be on cart. They're going to drop the price of amiibos to $15 or $12 like they used to be. Or they're going to drop the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 to $225. They're going to put Mario Kart World at $17.75 on sale. No, they're not going to do any of this stuff. And obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit in terms of what people were saying. But at the same time, Nintendo of America is the marketing hand for Nintendo in Japan. Nintendo in Japan really calls all the shots. They pull all the strings. And Mr. Shibata is essentially that liaison when it comes down to it, when it comes to understanding the American market, understanding where the dollar is, understanding what the marketing is happening there, understanding everything and getting all of that information from Mrs. Pritchard out here, getting all that information from the board and the people there in America, then relaying that information and making decisions when they've collaborated with Nintendo back in Japan. Yes, there are some things that Nintendo of America can do to kind of adjust. Reggie has that famous story of him saying, oh, I really pushed for Wii Sports to be included in the package. And yes, that was a big deal. That was awesome. That was so good. good. But Reggie also said, I don't want Xenoblade localized. I don't want The Last Story localized. I don't want Pandora's Tower localized. I don't want Soma Bringer from Monolith Soft localized. I don't want Disaster Day of Christ localized. I don't want Captain Rainbow localized. And really weird stuff happened with those before we finally got them over here in the West. And he didn't include 1-2 Switch in the package for the Nintendo Switch 1. So once again, guys, these decisions and kind of what happens and some of the stuff that's going on, sure, there can be some things that have happened before in the past, but for the most part, Nintendo of Japan is calling the shots. If they want something bundled and if they feel strongly about it, they're going to get their way at this point. The days of Nintendo of America calling what games are going to be localized and certain decisions like that, I think those are kind of been done for a while now at this point. So essentially, you're going to get the Nintendo that we've pretty much always gotten now for the last 6 years or so. Plus, it's pretty much been the same. There really hasn't been anything since really the Nintendo Switch 1. I think that the Wii U really caused a big turn in terms of how Nintendo wants to see certain things marketed and the global reach of it after that failure. And even some of the failures of the Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo wanted to kind of centralize things and kind of get everybody on the same page when it comes down to the system and what it does and the marketing for it. So I don't see things changing too much. The real peeps that are handling lots of different stuff is going to be Nintendo in Japan. Yes, Mr. Shibata and Devin, they have important jobs, but you have to realize they don't make games. They're not the ones who are funding the next big Mario game or funding the next big Monolith Soft title or all of that. They are the ones that are working on the marketing and getting that out there and doing the different stuff like reaching out to influencers and doing stuff when it comes to the marketing aspect, the TV commercials, paying for that, certain stuff like that. It's all of the things here with the supply and distribution and the tariffs. All that stuff is handled. Of course, Nintendo Japan has a say and looks into it, but Nintendo of America handles that when it comes to the financials with getting everything distributed here in the Americas. So don't expect some massive changes. Don't expect a bunch of different things to switch up. I saw people saying, oh my gosh, I hated it with Doug Bowser. Things are going to change. And I'm like, you don't know what's going on here. Mr. Furukawa is still the lead at Nintendo. So what he usually says, in addition to Koizumi and Takahashi, those guys, they're the ones that are kind of calling a lot of the shots when it comes to the games, what's getting funded, the proposals, the denials, and the stuff that you're most excited about when it comes to it. But yes, there are some pricing things, there are some different stuff that NOA will handle, but once again, that is all based off of the metrics, and that's all based off of kind of like what's happening when it comes to the market. And when it comes to games, Nintendo in Japan, they're handling that overall. So it's interesting just to see what people are saying though. And we'll see if there are any major changes or anything. I don't think there's going to be, but once again, we'll see what happens going forward in the future. So yeah, shout outs to Devin Pritchard. Congratulations on that. And of course, shout outs to Mr. Shibata. He's been around for a long time. He actually takes over as the Nintendo of America CEO on November 16th. And once again, he'll still be the head of Publisher and Developer Relations Division at Nintendo. So he's been around for a hot minute. He's been in Europe, he's been in Japan, he's been down here in the US. He's handled so much stuff. This guy is one of those like Ambu Black Ops in the shadows, and he's finally getting his chance to kind of come out from the shadows and be in the forefront when it comes down to this. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to kind of see what's going to happen here. And once again, congrats to Doug Bowser. Great career overall, 6+ years at Nintendo. Now it's time to pass the torch when it comes down to it. So what do you guys think about all this? You can let me know in the comment section. But before we get to the next topic, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. All right, we're going to talk about something that I alluded to before, and it was how I was right when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 pricing and all that. I saw a lot of people come out and say, what, 450, 500? For a video game system with Mario Kart? No way, that's a problem, blah blah blah. We had all sorts of videos, we have all sorts of people making clickbait and all of that, but once again, it's all BS. It's all nothing, because now we have $1,000 handhelds, $600 handhelds, and yes, I know PC, I know Gaben, I know he's the greatest ever, I know Steam sales, I know I got all that, but people were saying for the specifications of what you're getting for this platform, it is not worth that price. Some people were saying it, not everybody, but some people were saying that. But now that 450, being able to play stuff like Star Wars Outlaws at the quality that it does, being able to play Resident Evil Requiem, which we now see footage and people are getting hands-on time saying that it looks and runs good in portable, seeing stuff like Final Fantasy VII Remake integrated. Once again, probably not going to be able to play it at the quality of a ROG Ally X, but it's $1,000. It's literally double the price plus. And I was trying to tell people, when it comes to inflation and when it comes to tariffs, they are eating these companies up, especially because these are imported from where? China that has a massive tariff slapped on them. This stuff is not getting any cheaper. The inflation is not helping out when it comes to the prices of semiconductors and chips and all that. That stuff hasn't gotten a lot cheaper. Everything is still staying the same, if not going up in price overall. So you're going to start seeing 600, 700, 800, even up to 1,000 plus. Heck, the GPD Win, the newest one, is over $2,000 when it comes down to it. And sure, better performance, great, all sorts of stuff. But overall, if you're looking at it, I was completely right about the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 and saying, you know what, it's actually not going to be so bad considering where we're seeing this technology going. This is probably the cheapest they could have got it overall for what you get with DLSS and what it's doing. I saw articles from IGN, I talked about that, where they said they gotta worry, Nintendo has to worry about these new PC handhelds. Listen, let me tell you something right now. They don't have to worry about $1,000 PC handheld. This thing is DOA or only selling to the hardcore niche of Xbox fans. Most people, when it comes to casual consumers or when it comes to just normal people that don't have time to tinker around with everything, they just rather buy a system that has exclusives, that has directs, that has the good marketing, and it's simple and easy to use overall, and not a PC thingy. Yes, they are getting better. I'm not hating overall on the systems. Like if you want to get a ROG Ally, or if you want to get an Xbox ROG Ally X and spend 1,000 or spend however much you want, that's cool. But I think people just rather get that complete package where you buy the Nintendo Switch 2, comes with 2 controllers technically because of the Joy-Con, so you can do instant tabletop play past the Joy-Con or anything like that. It also comes with the dock, comes with all the cables to hook up to that as well for $450. And if you want a game, it's $50 more, whether it's Pokemon Legends ZA that's coming out in that bundle. So I think that this is only going to accelerate what people see when it comes to cost and value of the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to go exactly like I said it was going to go when it comes down to it. It was going to outsell all these PC handhelds pretty quickly, and that's exactly what it's doing. People don't want to talk about this. You'll just see people online complaining and angry and making up sales numbers from Japan and saying that there's buyer's remorse and all this stuff, while it continues to sell nearly 5 times more than the PlayStation 5 in Japan when it comes to the sales of the Nintendo Switch 2 over the PlayStation 5. And it continues to sell well. People are still buying it here, while they're actually removing the Xbox Series S and X from the bulk grocery store that is known as Costco, because it was a quote-unquote business decision apparently. So people will tell you things are going bad, there's buyer's remorse, there's this and that. Well, everything else is jacking up in price, where things are getting taken off store shelves, and where in Japan the Nintendo Switch 2 is completely dominating all of the other platforms. And here in the US, it's selling well too. The stock is rotating in and out. People are buying the system. More people are buying third-party games. So it's going exactly the way that I thought it would go overall. Now, once again, this is not anti-Xbox ROG Ally, anti-Xbox, anti-PlayStation. I have all those. I spent my money on all those. I spent my money on a PlayStation 5 Pro with a disk drive that was $800 when it comes to tax and all of that. I did get it before the price increase, so that was good. I spent $500 at launch in 2020 on an Xbox Series X that I barely even use overall. I have every single platform when it comes to PlayStation for the most part. I might be missing one system or two, but all the main stuff I have. I pretty much have every single Xbox overall as well. So it's essentially just talking about what's happening in the market and how it's going when it comes to Nintendo positioning themselves a lot better to get some of that big third-party support that they didn't get before in the past on the Nintendo Switch 1, and clearly did not get on the Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS. So things are kind of changing overall for things, and if you're expecting these prices to go down with tariffs and with inflation, well, I've got something for you. It's not. So the Switch 2 in comparison here, like I said, could end up being a steal or a bargain, and it looks like that is going to be the case considering the quality that you get. Once again, not as good as a ROG Ally overall, but the quality that you get at the price that you get it at, I think that's not too bad overall when it comes down to it. And we'll see what happens in the future, though. It's very possible that the Nintendo Switch 2 could get a price increase in the future. But it's also possible that these systems can also get a price increase in the future, as the Xbox Series X and S have got 2 price increases in the last 6 months. So with those Chinese tariffs and the profit margins shrinking, yeah, that is absolutely something that could happen overall. So what do you guys think when it comes to everything that we talked about here? There was a lot. let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.